Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. Very quick video guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about AESA and PESA radars. A lot of people are wondering how OP they would be, or if they are going to be OP at all, or how effective they would be. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, what is AESA and PESA? Well, there are two main differences between these types of radars to normal mechanically scanned array radars, right? The first one is that instead of actually having to mechanically change the direction where the emitter of the radar is looking to emit the radiation from the aircraft, it is actually doing that electronically, right? That's one of the main things. And the second thing, because by the way, there are some already radars in the game that can already do that, but it doesn't change much. It's just a more simplified way of scanning radars. It's left stuff to break, etc. Like the Zoox radars, they already have that on the AK-141 and the MiG-29 SMT. But that doesn't change much from like speed of the scan or anything like that. It's just changing more of reliability and other minor things like that, right? It's just the evolution of the technology. But the second thing is that instead of having just one emitter or just one package of emitters, it will have many singular ones, okay? In a general sense, I'm not talking specifically because the differences between the AESA and PESA are going to be basically that the AESA will have many of them, and the PESA will have just one big one that has many quote-unquote antennas that can emit the signal. So there's a little bit of a difference between the two, but in a general sense, we're not gonna get between the differences between these two. They will have many of these emitters looking at very small portions of the scan zone that you are looking, which means that you have a near instant detection, because at the same time on the outmost like upper corner, the radar is like starting to scan at the same time as in the bottom part of the radar scan, right? So at the end of the day, it's basically just a near instant detection. That's the main feature of these radars, okay? How this would affect the targets or the aircraft, etc. Of course, you have to remember that it's not only that, because the idea that the technology of pulse Doppler radars were improving was not only because of these, you know, the actual emitters, the antennas, everything like that were getting better, meaning that you would have more range, more power output in the radar. So of course there are minor things that you would see increasing. One of them would be, for example, the range of the radar while producing less power, or being a smaller radar in general and still have the same range as a bigger antenna that produces a lot more power, like an F-14. You can clearly see that from more modern radars that are PESAs or AESAs that have more range, or at least the same range as, for example, AUG-9 radar from the F-14, right? That's due to all the technologies apart from what makes the PESA and AESA radar a PESA and an AESA radar that I was talking about before, right? So there are always these little things: increased range, better overall capability while looking down, etc., right? So these would always be a thing, but the main thing would be instantaneous scans. You know, it would basically detect all the targets at once, making it a lot better for Fox 3 missiles. That will be the main thing about these radars. Two usabilities of them: the ability of some of these radars to actually fire on 2 or even 4, depending on the radar, or even 6, like for example in the MiG-31M in theory, targets at the same time using a semi-active missile. You know, so you could actually group up the emitters that I was talking about and actually have multiple hard locks, so that you can actually make a semi-active missile have the ability that a Fox 3 missile has, on the sense of being able to fire on multiple targets at once. So yeah, that would be an interesting thing, isn't it? The second thing would be, of course, the ability to use it in a little bit of a better way, the soft lock of TWS, right? So you would actually be instantaneously detecting the target, so having more updates to tell the missile where the target is. So these would be the main features that you would actually see from these radars, you know, being a lot more reliable basically for getting connect shots. How this would affect the meta? Well, to be honest, guys, it isn't that OP if you think about it. Why? Because these aircraft already are using in the meta things like missiles and usages that are not really changing for these radars, you know. So basically the meta, what is the meta right now? Well, the meta right now is basically just having a lot of furballs and IR missiles that can connect very well. These will not change that, you know. The only part that would change would mean that BVR would be more effective, and with that maybe people will do more BVR. That's where I think things will be like, because you have more chances of actually getting kills doing BVR, especially for players that don't know what they're doing in a defensive manner. So you would see a lot more people just getting kills from far away because the system is a lot better. But everything else would be pretty much the same. It wouldn't change much from that. Of course, as a defensive kind of analyzation over here, of course it can improve as well, because just like the Zook, for example, on the SMT can look 90 degrees to the side, most PESA and AESA radars would be able to do that because of these electronic scanned array stuff, because they can actually tilt the radar antenna mechanically and also increase that ability with the electronic array as well, of just increasing the amount of, you know, side look that you can have. And that would mean that people would, a lot more radars, a lot more aircraft would have the ability of notching at the same time that they're maintaining a lock, which is kind of scary. As you know, the SMT is already very powerful on the BVR because of that. But at the end of the day, again, how effective is BVR for the meta? Not really. Like, it's not the most effective thing ever, right? So at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to the missiles. If the missiles are really reliable, like the MatAWG, the Fox 3s and everything like that, then yes, then you will see a major improvement in BVR. If these missiles are not that good, then it's going to be just another feature that players that know what they're doing can actually use to try to get a couple of kills at the early stages of a match easily, you know. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Make sure to subscribe, let me know in the comments what you want to see next, and of course, always remember I have a secondary channel on other games. Make sure to subscribe to that if you like other content. See ya guys, bye.